chance to settle in. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. I couldn't help but get a sense all day today that this is exactly the kind of day that Shabbat is made for. Like when the world is a little too dark, a little too early, and it brings us light. When the wind and the cold and the rain are a little too sharp and a little too sort of unnerving, it's a little soft and it's warm, and it's where, rather than wanting to get out of it like the weather outside, we want to enter it and dwell in it. So we are glad that all of you, whether you are locals and that this is your spiritual home, or if you're joining us for the first time or for the millionth time, and yet this is not where you always spend your time, we're glad that you found your way here. This is Shabbat that would be lovely and light and warm no matter what, and yet it's made a little bit more lovely and light and warm because this weekend we get to celebrate with the Rudman and Wiltz families, celebrating Miriam becoming bat mitzvah. And so, yeah, her brother's pointing, that's right. And to start this Shabbat and help us enter into this lovely, wonderful period of time that we get to celebrate so much, we'd like to invite up Miriam and her parents and her brother for the candles and Kiddush blessings. The candle blessing can be found on page 2.
That part wasn't part of your tutoring, so it's okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehavikner shel Shabbat.
So may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations who people faith, so may we, in our unbelief, be among those who believe.
You want to grab the Kiddush cup and take the napkin off the top and hold it up for us? The Kiddush blessing is on page 5. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei b'ri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodesho ve'ahava u'ratzon Zikaron l'maaseh v're'eh Katie and William, and especially Miriam, a huge mazel tov on this simcha, and we look forward to celebrating with you tomorrow. We all may be seated. Shabbat Shalom and welcome to each and every person, as Rabbi Silverman said, whether you're here all the time or here for the first time or somewhere in between. Welcome to those of you who are joining us on our live stream, as well as those who are here in our Forgotten Chapel. We look around and every week we see that this prayer space and our voices as a community hold every experience under heaven. We hold a wonderful bat mitzvah celebration, an amazing young woman in our congregation. We hold those who are observing yahrzeit and who had recent losses only in the last few days or the last few weeks. We hold those who are at a quiet moment in our lives, and we hold within those experiences of fear and trepidation. Some are well, some are not well, some are lonely, and some are fulfilled. And we all come together and say the same words, expecting, believing that somehow those ancient words that we say all as one ground us and lift us up in ways that we need each and every week. So thanks to every single person who is here, who creates that kind of space for every other person who is here. We all needed to be here for whatever it was that happened this week or this month or this year in our lives. And so it's a beautiful thing that we make space for each other. We'll enter into Kabbalat Shabbat, our songs and psalms that help make a separation between the cold, rainy, maybe busy, maybe too slow Friday afternoon that we all just had, and enter into the special sacred time of Shabbat on pages 12 and 13. D, verses 1 and 8 and 9. La לילה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 8. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי. אל ידיש בין פרצי, כי שמחה ונגילה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise and face the door and welcome in the spirit of Shabbat that we all so deeply need. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה. תוכן הונה עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. פני שבת נקבלה.
You can be seated. This week, like all of our little ones at their schools Monday through Friday, we came back for Yamim Yafim, for Uptown Hebrew, and it sort of struck me, and I know I spoke with with the Cantor Margolius about this. I said, did you ever notice that our little ones, when we want to like chill and sit still, they're all over the place. And when we're ready to go somewhere, they take their time. And when everything is sort of giggly and funny, some of you say the most incredible, thoughtful things. And then sometimes when we try to have incredible, thoughtful moments, you say the funniest stuff that makes us laugh, and like just with joy. So all of you, what you bring throughout the week are blessings for our entire community. So when you come up right now for your Shabbat blessing, and all of you who are not yet to your bar bat mitzvah are invited, just remember that even though you're getting a blessing, all of us get to see you, our blessings, join us up here for a few moments. So if you are one of our littlest ones tonight, come on up, follow the experts. If you want a big person to come with you, that's okay. We are so excited and happy to have you all here so we can bless you and be blessed by you. Shabbat Shalom.
You are our blessing. You are our strength. You are our future. We believe in you and the choices you will make. If you're going to Kehila Kedosha, Shabbat fun and prayers with Layla, you can come to this door right up here to your right. Make sure we have a way to get in touch with you, caregivers, and we'll turn now to page 28 and prepare for our Baruch Hu and our entrance into our prayers. This is a good time to take one more or two more deep breaths as we focus our prayers as a community in our liturgy. And we'll sing a nigun a few times to prepare for that as well. Please rise. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai. Page 30, let's read together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhma poteach she'arim, ubitfunam meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakokavim, umishmerotei borei yom v'layla, or mipnei choshech, choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, achai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Ya'elai, ya'elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai. Page 32 together. Everlasting love, you have offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, O Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Ya Elai, 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 Ya Elai. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
You can be seated. It's our pleasure to invite up tomorrow morning's bat mitzvah, Miriam Rudman, to help us lead Ve'ahavta. Come on up, Miriam. Page 36. Come on over here. Whenever you're ready, okay?
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'kol nafshecha u'b'kol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha vayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlektecha v'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uktaktam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. Leman tizkeru, va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim lelohehem. Ani Adonai Elohem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohim Emet.
Thank you.
Page 40. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles and earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Our prayer Hashkivenu is on page 42. We sing this prayer every night and every week, and we use it often as a moment to give thanks for all the different kinds of shelters that we have in our lives, the shelters of brick and stone and wood, and the shelters of family and friends and community, and all the structures that we have that help to protect us. And it has been a week unlike many others that probably we have known to fathom how vulnerable we are as humanity as we watch the fires rage in Southern California. And I know, looking around, that many have loved ones in that area. We pray for their safety and, of course, the safety of those who we don't know and we have no personal connection to. So we want to take this moment of Hashkivenu to pray for them. And of course, we always include so many who need shelter in our own city and around the world, but this moment of Hashkivenu may be focused particularly on those whose very shelters, very lives are being consumed in a hurricane of flames. So we're going to learn a nigun to sing this prayer with that intention. And I'd like to invite you also to open the back of your order of service to a prayer that we'll say together throughout this prayer by Rabbi Naomi Levy. But first, the nigun. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la. Let's try it. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la. la la, ya la 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 la. And then the third line of the Hebrew prayer on page 42, words that we sing all the time. They mean spread over us a shelter of peace. Ufros aleinu sukat shilomecha. That's it. Ufros aleinu sukat shilomecha. Tonight our Hashkivenu is not a lullaby. Instead, this setting for it invokes some foreboding and fear, which exist in this prayer. It's a prayer for darkness, when you can't see what's right in front of your face. So as we think of that and how vulnerable it feels sometimes to be a simple human being, let's channel those intentions in this prayer. Ya la la la, 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 Ufros. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Let's read just a few lines of this prayer together as we sing. God, our rock and our comfort, hear our prayer. Our hearts break for all those who have lost their homes in this deadly blaze. The victims are in shock, life as they knew it, all their treasured possessions, beloved heirlooms, touchstones for so many cherished moments, were swept away in an instant. Their sense of place and home, their safety and stability have been shaken. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, Ufros, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Let's continue. Help us, God, to anchor them, to shelter, support, and steady them with love. As the numbness wears off, the enormity of the loss sets in, and the work before them begins. Be with them, God. Be their strength and their comfort. Shield them from despair. Let them know that you are near, and fill them with the courage they will need to begin again. Ya la la la, 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 Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Let's read together. Bless the firefighters and first responders, God, and watch over them as they put their own lives at risk to protect their beloved city. Work through us, God. Transform our helplessness into action. Inspire us with the determination and the perseverance we will need to bring devastated neighborhoods back to life. Fill us all with the vision of a new day that lie ahead, a dream of a city restored. Let Jeremiah's prophecy of hope enter every heart and soul. The city shall be rebuilt upon its ruins. And so may it be, and let us say amen. Ufros aleinu sukkah shelomecha ufros aleinu sukkah shelomecha ufros aleinu sukkah shelomecha ufros aleinu sukkah shlomecha ya la 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 ya la la la. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
Page 46. As we enter into the Amidah section, the Tefillah section of our service, we read and recall what we're directed to do, which is to pray as if everything perhaps depends on God, and yet to act in our lives as if everything depends on us. If you're able, please rise, page 46 and following for the Amidah. Adonai sepatayitahu bi'agitegilaterra. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevei Geula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol, Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalchel Chayim V'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol V'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Nofli V'Rofech Holim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Mishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, U'Midyon Elav, Melech Lemi, U'Mechayem
Elon atah lechayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom ya'alucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai
Ha'el HaKadosh. You can be seated. Page 55 at the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. And at the bottom of page 57, we read together, You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward and find the answer to your prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Take a few moments now for Tefillat Halev, the prayers of our own hearts. We'll come back together in just a few moments.
Page 60. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atah hu melech adon, lecha hashalom. Ki atah hu melech adon, to dedicate this moment to those who are in need of our prayers for healing, all those in our lives and those in our spheres of concern whose bodies or hearts or souls are not whole and who need the strength of this community and all those around them in order to find a renewal. Of course, we call to mind at this moment those in our own community, in our own city, who are in a process, God willing, of healing and recovering after last week's terrible tragedy on Bourbon Street. And we think of those in our lives and our families who have pain that is visible and pain that is invisible. If you'd like to whisper the name of a loved one or someone you're thinking of now, this is a good time for that. Draw their faces to our minds, their names on our lips, and send these prayers for healing up beyond this world. Page 253. Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha ve'imoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imoteinu mekor habracha ve'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Before I say any of this that's written, just on a personal note, as somebody who used to live in Los Angeles, I was really, really touched by so many of you reaching out, really, by text and call and stopping by and asking if my friends and my family, including my brother and sister-in-law and my nephews, everybody, thank God, is safe and accounted for, and your outreach really did mean a lot to me. Thank you. As hard as it is for me to believe, 20 years ago this coming summer is when I moved to Los Angeles. I had finished college, which was on the shores of Lake Ontario, quite the latitude, and I had worked for a year at a very noble but professionally untenable nonprofit in snowy Syracuse, New York. And so I took the first opportunity I had to move somewhere warmer. And I spent a couple of months in the LA area working at a summer camp in Malibu, but I officially became an Angelino when I landed my first teaching job at about a week and a half before the school year started. I loved my new city from the minute I settled there. It was the biggest and most diverse place that I had ever experienced before. And I really loved the warm, dry air that still draws lots of people to Southern California. And even as everyone around me who had lived there longer talked truthfully about how desperately we needed rain after a multi-year-long drought, I, in my newness, couldn't help but kind of revel in the climate. And it was also during that time, which is 20 years ago in late August of 2005, when I, like millions of people around the world, watched news coverage of Hurricane Katrina make landfall close enough to New Orleans and with enough intensity to topple the entire levee system and to really sort of irrepressibly flood 80% of the city, utterly devastating the lives of just about everyone who called this place home. Watching it all unfold from the TV screen in the safety of my new West Coast apartment, I remember thinking how ironic it was to be in one place that wanted rain and water so badly while watching what was happening to another place that had far too much of it. 10 years ago, this coming summer, incredibly enough, I moved to New Orleans, just as our community was commemorating the decade anniversary of Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Rita. And I remember following a community service at Congregation Gates of Prayer, I remember hearing something in people's voices that I came to understand as almost an exhale, a sense of relief after that particular milestone moment that gave people a little bit of proof, much needed proof that we had made it. We were still here. We were still alive. And that impression, that feeling stuck with me for a very long time, certainly a couple of weeks. Later, when I had brought up that same service and that same feeling in a much broader conversation that I used to introduce myself to some of our older religious school students. One of them, I think I remember who, but I cannot be certain, one of them perked up when I told them that I had just moved from Los Angeles. And she started rattling off a lot of statistics and information that she had recently learned about the drought, which by that time had returned to Southern California. And in a moment of sweet ingenuity that only a kid, even a big kid, could come up with, she suggested that we, New Orleans, either send some of our water there, or better yet, she said, find a way for Los Angeles to visit New Orleans when it's too dry, and New Orleans to visit Los Angeles when it's too wet. If only. And now, in 2025, here I am, getting ready to celebrate making 10 years here in New Orleans. And this week, while bundling up against the cold temperatures that are really only here for a couple of days or weeks out of the year, and covering myself from the manageable but still miserable amount of rain that we've been getting, and really in those moments missing that lovely dry California air, throughout that, like all of you, like millions of others around the world, I watched the horrifying news footage of huge portions of my former home city going up in flames that were started and exacerbated by those dry, warm winds becoming hot and unforgiving. And, of course, seeing entire neighborhoods reduced to literally ash and stone in their aftermath. And it was that sad same feeling, that ironic feeling that returned to me, of dwelling in a place that could use a little bit of that which another place had in a terrifyingly devastating excess. It made me think back to that sweet idea, perhaps, if only, it could have been avoided with Los Angeles taking a visit to New Orleans right now. Of course, cities cannot stand up and move around. Cities can't travel to meet and be met by other cities. No matter how much their coming together might bring a little bit of harmony or alleviate the things that others desperately need that are in deficit. Cities are just vicinities with buildings, inanimate and lifeless structures that are rooted in the places that they were built. And as such, the people who live in cities and the leaders who steer them are required, as we all know, to navigate the natural elements and the conditions that they bring that surround and permeate their lives. Conditions and elements that sometimes protect and enrich us, and sometimes far too often endanger and diminish us. To wish that those elements and those conditions that they bring could somehow reverse themselves or become untethered or personified so as to bring about a different unnatural balance, those wishes are what children muse about and what biblical prophets say could happen. But we, and this is perhaps the most obvious statement that I have ever written and said as a rabbi, we people are not cities. We humans can move and interact in big ways and in small ways, with those far away, just as we can those who are close by. We can and we should, and I believe we're naturally inclined to, find those who not only live far from us, but who have beliefs and lifestyles that are different from ours, but who nonetheless we augment and who augment us. And it turns out we can lovingly dwell, and sometimes even happily dwell together in one place, all of us. Such is the lesson that we learn from this week's Parsha, Vayechi, as Jacob, also known as Israel, prepares to die and calls all of his sons together to give each one of them as his heirs a blessing in his waning days. Having been fractured for decades, his family is now reunited, but they are certainly not homogeneous. What family is? The children of Jacob are vastly different individuals as possibly could be, and yet, in their differences, they share one place that they all equally love and therefore want the best for. And not for nothing, but Jacob, perhaps knowing his minutes and his hours are limited and not wanting to be held back by niceties, is quite honest when he states how he feels about each one of his sons, their past behaviors, and what he worries about for each of them in the future. His blessings, and they are blessings, are, if you read the text, often made up of some of the most sharp criticisms that a parent might give to a child. And he, without reserve, points out exactly what he thinks is great or terrible about each one of them. And yet, nothing that he says is meant to remove their right to stay in their place with their family. It's as if he knows that diversity and disagreement of all sorts, most sorts maybe, not all sorts, that those diversities and disagreements are far from something that hinder us, but rather are what turn small blessings into one big blessing. And this is how we live our lives, like in the real world, most of the time. We don't navigate the sharpnesses of our differences and only live with them on our tongues and in our mouths and in our feet and our hands and how we act, but rather we typically tend to find ways. We're inclined to find those ways that we have in common, things that we have in common, things that draw us together. Yes, there will always be extreme voices which loudly and obnoxiously try to rile up everybody over every event or every idea, even those that shouldn't be contentious at all. But those people, I maintain, no matter how loud and present they are the fringe. We can keep ourselves safe and distant from those who are truly harmful to us without assigning that same thought to everybody. Case in point, as Rabbi Bowman mentioned, as all of us know, on New Year's Day, our city suffered a horrific terrorist attack that thankfully, thank God, was nowhere near as devastating as it could have been. And almost immediately, as I'm sure some of you heard, despite none of us having much knowledge or information at the time, we all had to suffer through listening to the voices who wanted to divide us and infuriate us rather than help and alleviate us. They came up with the most ridiculous ideas of who and what to blame for something which there was no evidence for. Each one of their ideas slightly more vomitous than the last. The thing is, though, no one on Bourbon Street that night cared about who any of the first responders or doctors or anybody else voted for, or who they voted against. They didn't care if they were in the military or not. They didn't care about how they thought about immigration. They didn't care what their skin color was. They didn't care if their names sounded like they came from the same country as theirs. They needed help, and courageous people ran into harm's way to give it to them. That's the way it should be. This week, as the LA fires continue to burn, present tense continue, there is also no shortage of talking heads and self-proclaimed experts who are trying to pin blame for the devastation on this or that political party, or this or that person, or this or that world event, it's ridiculous to listen to what some of them have to say. And nobody who is facing the complete loss of their home, or the safety of their friends and neighbors, or worried about their very lives, none of them care who the firefighters and EMTs and random strangers picking up buckets to douse out flames voted for, or where they're from, or what skin color they have. The same goes for those who walked into New Orleans or took boats into New Orleans at Katrina, or at any other moment when people's lives were in danger. At those moments, life and safety, kindness and continuation, that's what's at stake, and that is what is focused on. And I imagine that much of what I'm saying might feel obvious to many, if not most. But even obvious things need to be restated, especially when there is a moment approaching on which we are at the cusp of something consequential and potentially dangerous. In just about a week, a new leader will arise who doesn't agree with Jacob, or with us, Jacob's descendants. A new leader who sees differences of belief and opinion and national origin, and differences of language, and differences of culture, and differences of all sorts as a weakness, as a societal ill, as something that needs to be corrected at the expense of who cares. I'm referring to the start of the book of Exodus, obviously, and this rise of a new Pharaoh, of course. What else could I be talking about? But those same lessons echo to us down through the generations to today. And so it is time to remind ourselves that there is, although a bit cliche to say, more that binds us together than drives us apart. More that makes us like our neighbors and fellow citizens, that makes us different. And that is something that can often get lost, and something that needs to be recited and said again and again and again. So let's let the words of Vayechi this year, which Miriam is going to bring to life in an incredible fashion tomorrow, this year and always be a reminder of what we read in our Siddur almost every Friday, that there is a better place, there is a promised land, that the winding way to that promise, whatever it might be, passes through a wilderness of sorts, and that there is no way ever to get from one place to another except by what? Joining hands and walking together, even reluctantly, because they're our family. Shabbat Shalom.
Yashakoah, Rabbi. Page 282, we rise for Aleinu. It is upon our shoulders to build the world that we envision. The ark is open, we sing together. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, bigor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. You may be seated. Dedicate this moment to those whom we have lost, members of our extended Touro family, and those in our community and world whose deaths occurred this year at this time in years past. It is our custom here at Touro that as the name of your loved one is shared, you're invited, if you wish, to rise in their honor and remain standing, and we will all join you once all of our yard sites are read. We give thanks for each and every spark that came from these lives, however long or short they were with us in the world, and however many mistakes they did or didn't make. We learn from every single life that has lived about who we want to be and what we cherish. And so for each one of them, we give thanks. In our congregational family, we are at a period of shloshim for the following loved ones: Carol Bashine Good, Barbara Henry LeBlanc, Joel Ira Ward, and David Hard Zucker. For yard site on this Shabbat, we recall Joseph Lester Ames and Minnie Berenson Ames, Miriam Kohlmeyer Bear, Arnold Jerome Jim Bennett, Charles Rosenbauer Brennan, and Hazel Roden Brennan, Mary Brennan, Ben B. Brill Sr., Ann Miller Fabricant, Emery Farkas, Harold A. Frank, Benjamin Barkun Goldman, Gertrude Hirschman Goldsmith, Herbert M. Girk, Dora Elias Haspel, Alexander Julius Heinemann, Leon Heyman, Mose Jacobs, Shirley Caston, Darren Knox, David Langer, Sophie M. Mann, M. Waldo Mayer Sr., Harry M. Millman, Leon Hirsch Rittenberg Jr., past president of Touro Synagogue, Alice Kahn Schoen, Irma S. Schwartz, Sidney B. Weiner, Sylvia F. Weiner, Barbara S. Glazer Weinstein, and Alan L. Wolf. Did anyone come to say Kaddish, a name you'd like to rise and share? And our community mourns with the families of those who were killed last week on New Year's Day. We recall Kareem Badawi, Martin Tiger Besh, Andrew Dawkin, Nakira Dudo, William DeMaio, Hubert Gothrow, Reggie Hunter, Terrence Terry Kennedy, Nicole Perez, Edward Pettifer, Latasha Polk, Brandon Taylor, Matthew Tenedorio, and Elliot Wilkinson. For all those we name aloud, for those we hold in our heart, and for those for whom there is no one but us to say Kaddish, we rise together as a community. Page 294, we declare, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'isman kariv imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'amei amaya, yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei kudusha barichu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, dami ran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, and may God comfort all those who are bereaved. We say together, amen. You may be seated. It's a pleasure to share the Bima tonight with Touro's Executive Vice President, Kevin Wilkins. Love to invite him forward now to share some announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom and Happy New Year. It's great to see everyone here tonight. Thank you, Miriam, and your family for lighting the candles for us this evening, and congratulations on your big day tomorrow. We're all excited for you. Thank you to the greeters and the community volunteers. Our youngest, David Michael Lieber, was very helpful tonight, along with Gary Sobert, Bill Purcell, Lisa Herman. Thank you to our Shabbat Pulpit Flower sponsors. The Pulpit Flowers are given tonight in the honor of the Bat Mitzvah of Miriam Rudman by her parents, and in memory of Ann Miller Fabricant by Kathy, Hal, David, and Rachel Shepard. If you're a Touro ambassador, could you stand up? Thank you all. So if anyone is new to Touro, or if you're visiting, or if you've been around for a while and you're just curious to know what ambassadors do and what's going on at Touro Synagogue, please find me or clergy or any of the people who are standing. Thank you so much for your service. Please be sure to join us again on Friday, January 17th. Touro Synagogue looks forward to welcoming Netta El-Kayam and Amit Hai Cohen to share their internationally acclaimed and profoundly spiritual music during our Shabbat services. It's going to be great. You don't want to miss that. Also approaching is Touro's annual fundraiser, Sunday Night Fever at Studio 504. There are several puns in there, if you can see. That'll be on February 2nd. Whether you want to boogie all night, sit and enjoy the entertainment, or just spend some quality time with other congregants, please join us. It will be an unforgettable evening, totally fun. The deadline is to RSVP is Sunday, January 19th, so please be sure to respond as soon as possible. The Jewish Community Relations Council, known as the JCRC, of the Jewish Federation of Greater New Orleans invites you to participate in the official City of New Orleans Martin Luther King Jr. Day March on Monday, January 20th. This is going to be a meaningful event and will bring together the Jewish community in solidarity to honor Dr. King's legacy and commemorate this really important day. Registration is requested and can be found at jewishnola.com. Again, jewishnola.com. Any Touro members that may be interested in carrying the congregational banner as part of the parade, please reach out to Chris Lorenzen, who is right there, and tell him that you'd like to help coordinate that. Thank you, Chris. Let's come together as a community and make this day as powerful celebration as possible. Now, please join us tomorrow, 9 a.m. Shabbat Shur begins, and at 10:30, the Bat Mitzvah of Miriam Rudman. All are welcome to join us for Shabbat dinner in the Grant Meyer Garden Pavilion following the service. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Kevin. I want to reiterate Kevin's words of welcome. Please do stay for dinner. Please find an ambassador. Please introduce yourself to one of us here on the Bima. We're glad that you found Touro, and especially if you're new here, we hope that you can feel comfortable and meet people and find a home here in our congregation. And just to underline what Kevin said about next Friday night, Netta and Amit are spectacular musicians and teachers, and their amazing blend of Hebrew and Arabic and Moroccan and Israeli music is something not to be missed. And so I hope, and we'll have opportunities to make music with them throughout the next several months, but this will be a really special evening. So please do try to come. And we'll also be celebrating the Bat Mitzvah of Miss Emma Jaffe. So it'll be a very celebratory night. We're going to be, we'll close our service tonight on page 45. Please rise as we sing ourselves into Shabbat dinner. the night, and eternity utters a day. Eternity utters a day. Yai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.